Engineer, ANZSCO. And then what you gotta do, you're probably going to take, I think it's going to take to this Australian Bureau of Statistics, and that's the one that you want to go. And that's the Australian Bureau of Statistics, which is the official website from the Australian government. So you just got to make sure that you go to the abs.gov.au, which is the federal government website. And then once you open up, there are a series of definitions there in different categories or occupations. Chemical and materials engineers, civil engineering professionals, electrical engineers, electronics engineers. And now is the time for you to perhaps put in the chat, what is your type of engineering? If you put your type of engineering, I'm going to open up here, or we can search together so you know where you can search and what do you need to pay attention to. So I'll keep an eye on the chat just to make sure that I'm capturing there. If somebody puts your type of engineering, let me see. No comments there. Looks like there's no comment there. No comment. So I'll go with the most common ones. And if you then, probably you guys are a little bit shy still, but if you decide to put the sort of engineer that you are, you will then have a look here. Yeah, it looks like we've got Maria Fatima in Facebook. She put that she is an industrial engineer. So let's have a look. And obviously those ones that they put the comments, they get the privilege, so we can kind of open up here. So I'll probably going to try to make it slightly bigger. So industrial, mechanical and production engineer. So when you click in there, it will open up the whole group. You got to pay attention, Maria, that when you open up the group, it will open up the generic bit, which has a lot of tasks. Please just don't get hung up on this one, because the activities and experiences here, they are the ones combined with industrial, mechanical and production engineers. All of these three here. So those tasks, they're not specific for industrial engineers, they are for all of those three there. So, and why is that important? Because sometimes you have an experience and then you look at one of the definition and then you think it does apply to your industrial engineering, when in fact it applies to, let's say, production engineer. And then when the Engineers Australia assessor reads your experience, he or she may say that your experience is aligned with production engineers, not with industrial engineers. So what do you have to do? You have to go a little bit down, and then when they separate the definition of those three occupations, and then you got to look at yours. For example, Maria, 233511. So that is for the industrial engineer. And the definition that Engineers Australia will use is investigates and reviews the utilization of personnel, facilities, equipment and materials, current operational processes and established practices to recommend improvement in the efficiency of operations in a variety of commercial, industrial and production environments. So this is the definition that you need to pay attention to. and your experiences that you're going to use in your validation process, they need to match with this definition here. I got another comment, I think, from Beatrice. She is civil engineering. So she's a civil engineer. So let's go back to, again, engineering professionals. And how did I arrive in that one there? Again, I put in Google, engineer ANZSCO, and then went to the abs.gov.au website, Australian Bureau of Statistics. Got to make sure there will be other sites that are from private companies. Please go to the government website, which is the source of truth of information. So when you click on that, you got to go to, in case of Beatrice, and thanks Beatrice for typing in, civil engineering professionals, that's the link there. So once you click on that one there, again, it will have several tasks, but you got to remember that those tasks here, they are aligned to those occupations. So it's not all of those tasks that are exclusively for civil engineers. Sometimes you could be, let's say that you did obtaining soil and rock samples at different depth across sites, etc., etc. Let's say that you had an experience like that, but in this particular task, it's probably more aligned to geotechnical engineer. So again, you gotta go a little bit down, and then there will be definition of the civil engineer here. So for the civil engineer, what do? They plan, design, and they organize and oversee the construction and operation of dams, bridges, pipelines, gas and water supply schemes, sewerage systems, airports, and other civil engineering projects. So if you are a civil engineer, you got to make sure that your experiences, they do match this definition here. And there are a couple of specializations there. And why do I say that? I say that because especially civil engineers back in Brazil, from where I am, and probably Beatrice, you're probably from Brazil. Are you from Brazil as well, Beatrice? Because in Brazil, civil engineers are a bit unfortunate when it comes to trying to validate the qualification here in Australia, because a lot of civil engineers, once we graduate, we ended up working in other things, which in Brazil is totally fine. It's part of the civil engineer life, but it's not quite the life of a civil engineer here in Australia. Is it possible to validate if you worked in, building houses and doing refurbishment, etc.? Yeah, perhaps it is possible, but it's very difficult. The chance for you to get your career episode rejected because of that is really high. So for civil engineers, you really gotta try to think about the very raw engineering, like design and calculations, and work with heavy construction, infrastructure construction. So yeah, thanks Beatrice, you're from Brazil. So that is probably one of the most important advices or the information that I'm going to share tonight, is that you need to find the experiences that match the definition of the occupation according to ANZSCO. If you choose the wrong experience, if you choose an experience that does not match with the definition occupation, you really have a big chance that your career episode is not really going to be approved. All right, thanks for that, and I'll probably need to move on to another important thing for you to prepare. So in the PDF, I'm just going to show you here. In the PDF, I've got some of them some of the definitions that I included, and so those ones are the civil engineer, electrical engineer, mechanical engineer, production or plant engineer, chemical engineer. And if your type of engineering is not here, you can always go to the ANZSCO website and double check that.